After eating the cake, Alice turned into a giant, and her tears had flooded the hall halfway. She felt helpless and didn't want to be alone, so she began to cry. While speaking, she glanced at her hand and noticed that she was wearing the White Rabbit's white kid gloves. She was extremely puzzled. What was going on? She thought she must have shrunk again. She got up and walked to the table to measure herself. Just as she suspected, she was now only about 2 inches tall. And she was shrinking rapidly. She quickly realized that it was the fan she was holding that was causing her to shrink, so she threw the fan away and finally stopped shrinking. That was close. Alice exclaimed, quite relieved that she hadn't completely disappeared. Now, she needed to get to the garden. She crawled quickly to the small door, but to her dismay, it was locked, and the little golden key was on the glass table. Just as before. Things had gotten worse. I've never thought about this before. I've never thought that it could be so bad, Alice thought to herself. As she spoke, she slipped and fell with a splash, and the salty water was up to her chin. Her first thought was that she had fallen into the sea, and she thought, now I can take the train back. Alice had been to the seaside before, where there were many bathing machines, children playing with wooden spades on the beach, and a row of rental houses behind them, with a train station further back. However, she soon realized that she was in a pool of tears that had flowed from her when she was 9 feet tall. I wish I hadn't cried so much just now, Alice said, swimming around, trying to find a way out. Now, I'm getting what I deserve. My own tears are about to drown me. This is another strange thing today, truly. Just then, she heard the sound of paddling nearby and swam towards it to see what it was. At first, she thought it must be a walrus or a hippopotamus, but then she remembered how small she had become and immediately understood that it was just a mouse, like herself, that had slipped into the water. What use could there be talking to a mouse? Alice wondered. Did mice even speak? She hadn't done this sort of thing before, but she remembered from her Latin grammar book, muse, muse, oh muse. So, she decided to give it a try. Hello, mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I'm exhausted from swimming. Hello, mouse. Alice thought this was the proper way to address a mouse. The mouse, unmistakably, stared at her and even blinked one of its tiny eyes, but it didn't say anything. Maybe it didn't understand English. Alice thought. Perhaps it had come with Duke William of Normandy. William was born in 1027 or 1028 and died in 1087. He was the Duke of Normandy and later conquered and united England, while Normandy was now a peninsula in France. Although Alice had some historical knowledge, she couldn't tell how long ago these events had occurred. So, she tried speaking in French, saying, "Oh, est mon chat?" This was the first sentence from her French lesson book. The mouse suddenly jumped out of the water, trembling with fear. Afraid of hurting the poor little creature's feelings, Alice quickly said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you don't like cats." "Don't like cats?" the mouse exclaimed in an agitated and squeaky voice. "If you were me, would you like cats?" "Well, perhaps not." Alice tried to comfort it. "Please don't be angry with me. But I still hope you can see my cat. Once you see him, you'll surely like cats. He's such an adorable and quiet little thing. Oh, how funny it is when he sits by the fireplace and purrs, occasionally licking his paws and washing his face. He's so soft and lovable to touch. And when he catches mice, he's really quite something. Oh, forgive me, Alice cried out, I've upset the mouse again. If you're not happy, we won't talk about cats and dogs anymore. The mouse had already swum away frantically. It made the water in the pool ripple as it moved. Alice followed the mouse, calling softly, Mouse, dear, please come back. If you don't like it, we won't talk about cats and dogs anymore. The mouse heard this and turned slowly back toward her. Its face was pale, and Alice thought it must have been angry. In a low and trembling voice, it said, Let's go ashore, and then I'll tell you my history. So you'll understand why I hate cats and dogs too. It was time to go, as the pool was now filled with a crowd of birds and animals. A duck, a dodo, a parrot, an eagle, and some strange creatures. Alice led the way, and together with the group of birds and animals, they swam towards the shore.